And now, it's time for another Dice Tower review with Tom Vasel.
Hey folks, sometimes a game gets you because of its gimmick. Remember the old, if you've ever remember from the 80s, there was this game called Fireball Island where marbles rolled down, spewing out of this idol's mouth at the top of a mountain. That's a gimmick, right? The game itself is based, if that wasn't there, the game is garbage. Well, here's a gimmicky game, Mord im Arosa. This is a game in which you have a tower that's made up of different sections, and you're dropping cubes trying to figure out what floor they fall in the tower. Now here it's pretty obvious, it didn't fall at the bottom, so therefore it's on floor 1. But this one has 7 floors to it. Which floor do things fall on? It's kind of a mix, you be the judge. So the game is based around building this tower. This tower here, you can see it actually stores in the box like this, so you can basically put everything inside each other. But the tower is made up of floors, starting with 0 and going all the way up to 7. And each of those floors stacks on top of each other. The holes line up for the most part pretty much perfectly, although it's gonna have some differentials between it. Now, you're going to take 2 red cubes and you're going to drop them in the tower. Now listen. And those 2 cubes have fallen in the tower and they're on one of the floors. Each player is going to take 2 of their cubes and also drop it into here. And players are listening as these cubes are dropped in to figure out where they're landing. They could go all the way down to the bottom floor. They could be landing on the top floor, what have you. Now, the game is made up of 2 parts. The first part is very short. The first part is simply going to be finding where the victims are. So on your turn, you're going to pick a floor where you think the victim is. So I might say, okay, I think there's a victim on floor 4. So I pick this up. There is no victim there. So I'm going to take this cube and I'm going to throw it back in. But let's say I was the yellow player. I also have to throw another one of my yellow cubes into the tower. So the next person says, I think they're on 4 or 5. So they pick it up. Yes, there is the victim. So I am now going to be placing the victim on my board over here and placing it on 4 5. Now it's very suspicious that all these other players are here. Now let's say I'm the black player, so I overlook that. But each of the other players has to take one of their clues and put it here on 4 5. I'll put the red cube here to show that's where the murder victim was found. I'm going to take all these off, all the cubes that were there, and I'm going to throw them back in the top. And then maybe the next player says they're on 4 7. Yes, there's where the other victim is. And that was the gray player who said that. So both of these cubes are placed here. And now the first part of the game is over. Actually, no, not those cubes. A cube from each player is placed there, and those cubes are thrown back in. That's kind of the preliminary setup, just to figure out where the victims were. They're on 4 5, and they're on 4 7. Now, the main meat of the game is going to be about players trying to basically figure out where other players' cubes are. So on your turn, you have 2 things. You can either cover your tracks. So let's say I'm the blue player, and I'm going to cover my tracks. I'm going to just basically guess where my cubes are. So I say, I think I got some cubes on 4 3. So I pick this up, and I was incorrect. Now, whenever you reveal 4, all those cubes are going to be thrown in. And since I said there was some cubes there was none, I'm going to have to throw another blue cube in the tower. The more cubes in the tower, the worse off you are. Now, another player the next player, let's say it's the yellow player, he says, on 4 2, I think there's black and brown. So we look here. Okay, so he got brown correct. So because he got brown correct, brown has to put a cube here. He did not get black correct, so for each person he got wrong, he has to throw one of his own cubes in. I forget what player I said it was, so let's say it was blue. And then they throw those in. So that's the way the game is going to work. You're going to pick something, so maybe I'll say on the 5th floor is yellow and white. Nope. There's no yellow and white, so since I'm the black player, I'm going to have to throw in 2 black cubes. And the more cubes you have in the tower, the worse it is, because every time you're caught, you're going to have to put cubes here in the board. This is going to continue till people run out of cubes. There's one rule. If you're looking at people on the ground floor, you have to have one of your own cubes there or you can't catch them. And I think this is partially because you can hear people landing on the ground floor more easily. Now, you're going to continue doing this until one person runs out of cubes. At that point, everyone's going to get points for the number of cubes they have over here. Now, you're going to want to find your own cubes out of 4 maybe. So let's say I'm on 4, 5. There is no one on 4, 5. So I'm 4, 7 on blue. And now, I found some of my own pieces. I can remove one. So that's a way to get your cubes off here, because at the end of the game, each cube that's in the same spot as a murder victim is worth 3 points. Each cube that's adjacent to a spot where there's a murder victim is 2 points, and all other cubes are going to be worth 1 point. The fewest points is the winner of the game. The most points means you're the culprit. You're the one who committed the murder. Boo. Now, as I said, this game is based on a gimmick, but I think the gimmick here is pretty good. Now, you saw that I played it on my table with the felt. I actually prefer to play this game on a surface where you can hear them. If nothing else, I can put it in a box cover because you want to hear them hit the bottom. Because the bottom is easier to hear, they have that rule that one of your own cubes has to be there. But the tower works really well. You drop that cube in, it could land all the way at the bottom. It's possible. Or it's going to likely land somewhere in the middle, which is more probable. Now, the cube dropping is neat and all. Let's talk about the game itself. The game tries to be thematic, and it works, right? There's these 2 murder victims that are on different floors and suspects and stuff. It's a little more fiddly than I would prefer. I almost wish that initial phase wasn't there. Where are the murder victims? Oh, look, they were found in the first 2 turns, or it took 5 turns to find them. It's just kind of this, okay, this very beginning of the game has slightly different rules than the rest of the game. The rest of the game after that's fine. And it has this push your luck. You're like, oh, I'm going to name like 5 people there. If I name all 5 people, I'm great in a 6-player game. But maybe there's only 2 people there. Then you throw more of your cubes in a tower. And the more cubes of your own that are in that tower, the easier it is for people to find you and throw you out there. And you can try to clear your own name. The more cubes of you that are in the tower, the more you can, pull them out. But you don't want your cubes in that tower, period. And so I like the whole guessing aspect. You can kind of hear where they fall, but I've yet to play with someone who's like, oh, definitely 3rd floor. Now, when you're picking the tower up, the rules say you need to use both hands to pick it up. Follow that rule, okay? I've had more than one game interrupted because someone's like, I can lift with one hand, and then dropped everything, which then requires you to kind of restart the game to some degree. The game stores pretty easily. Like I said, all of them fit inside each other like that. The cubes, easy enough. It plays up to 6 players. 6 players is a little too much, maybe waiting for your turn to come around again. 3 or 4 works really well for this style game. It's just kind of this unique game. You put it on the table, people are going to come by and go, what are you doing? What is that? So it is a gimmick game, but it's a cool gimmick game. It works. It's a filler style game. You're not going to want to play this over and over and over again. But still one that I really had a lot of fun with. You may not have heard of this game before, but I certainly urge you to check it out. Unique and interesting and fun. Dice Tower Judgment, excellent!
Thanks so much for watching the Dice Tower videos. Find more great videos and reviews, as well as our top-rated audio podcast at Dicetower.com. You can also find other great shows at DicetowerNetwork.com. I'm Eric Summerer, and you've been watching The Dice Tower. The Dice Tower is sponsored by Cool Stuff Inc., where you can find great games for great prices. Cool stuff in stock. Check them out at CoolStuffInc.com.
Shut the door!